I like to call the Rodney Dangerfield of 2012's animated features. It had so much working in its favor, a unique premise, an incredible marketing campaign, and even an overwhelmingly positive reaction from critics. And it got no respect at all. Okay, so it didn't really bomb, considering that its budget was actually pretty low, but for what it was, I think the film deserved to earn a lot more money. To make matters worse, it lost the Oscar for Best Animated Film. Heard that right, folks. This film, which is without a doubt one of the year's best, lost the Oscar. Really? What film could the Academy possibly think was superior to... Okay, but Frankenweenie was still better. It's no Nightmare Before Christmas, but it's certainly one of Tim Burton's best films in years. Based on a short film made by Tim Burton in his youth, the film stars a young Victor Frankenstein, and yes, that is his name, who is severely traumatized when his dog Sparky is tragically killed. But when he learns about how electricity can reanimate dead tissue, he decides to use the power of lightning to bring his canine companion back from the grave. Despite his success, Victor realizes the consequences to his action and tries to keep his accomplishment a secret. The word does eventually get around about Sparky's resurrection, and inspires the other kids in the neighborhood to do the same with their deceased pets, resulting in a climax of monstrous proportions. I think the real reason why I appreciate Frankenweenie is that it's probably one of the best horror films made in years. I mean, okay, it's not scary, but in terms of storytelling, it's far superior to any horror film made today. Why? Because a lot of modern horror movies focus on the horror aspect a little too much, and seem to be pushing telling a good story to the side in favor of scaring the living daylights out of people. Although it may be because this movie is intended for a more family-friendly audience, there doesn't seem to be an intention to terrify in Frankenweenie, and as a result, there seems to be a lot more effort put into the plot and works very well to the film's advantage, telling a story that's both humorous, heartwarming, and overall very entertaining. Because of this, the film is actually less like these films and more like those of the golden age of horror, which, in my opinion, is a welcome change of events in today's cinema. Speaking of the golden age of horror, the film handles the classic horror film homage perfectly. Tim Burton intended for this movie to be a love letter to such films, and it shows, not just through the use of black and white, but also through every little reference that Burton makes to a certain film. Throughout the entire movie, there are references to not just Frankenstein, obviously, but also to Nosferatu, Hitchcock. There's even a scene that shows a bit of Christopher Lee's Dracula in it. I usually get annoyed by an overabundance of pop culture references, but here they handle them perfectly. Despite all these references, Burton thankfully does not rely on them entirely to set up this horror-themed world in which the movie takes place, as he also manages to add his own little details here and there, like the idea that there's a lightning storm every single night, and so forth. It's the little tidbits like these that really help the film's intention to pay homage to the golden age of horror stand out and make Frankenweenie a very unique film among the ones you usually see today. Horror homages aside, another thing that this movie does very well is creating very likable and in some instances very imaginative characters. Victor himself, while nothing really special, is pretty likable, in large part because of his relationship with his dog Sparky. Anyone who knows what it's like to lose a pet will definitely feel for Victor and the events that he has to go through in order to be with his best friend. I like the relationship between Merida and Mother and Brave. The relationship between Victor and Sparky is definitely one of the major elements holding the film together. The most imaginative characters are, however, by far the other kids that appear in the movie. I mean, they went all out in creating the strangest and most memorable characters possible. For example, we have an Igor-esque hunchback, a Japanese kid who also has an actor science, a Boris Karloff parody, the list goes on. The film manages to take the little quirks in these characters' personalities and make them probably some of the funniest characters to hit the big screen in 2012. By far my favorite is the pale white weird girl, who uses her cat's fecal matter to make predictions about upcoming events. Okay, that's not just hilarious, that's just friggin' genius. The monsters they create are also pretty enjoyable, with each one matching its creator in a humorous way, but I won't dare spoil how each one turns out. Actually, of all the characters, I also really like Victor's Eastern European science teacher. Not only does he bear a striking resemblance to Vincent Price, and we know how much Burton and I adore Vincent Price, but he also gives one of the best screw you speeches ever written, but again, I won't spoil it. This is another movie that I could just go on and on about, but I think it's pretty clear about my opinions. The story is great, the characters are great, and the horror film qualities applied to the film are just great. It's a very fun and captivating film, and I really enjoyed it. But I am disappointed by the fact that, like I said earlier, the film did not attract an audience as big as it should have. The reason? It came out the exact same weekend as Taken 2. That's right, people. Instead of choosing to see this wonderfully created film, people opted to see some lame sequel to a film that wasn't even that good to begin with. And sadly, this is not the first time this has happened. Every time a really good movie and a really bad movie seem to compete at the box office, the bad movie, for whatever stupid reason, almost always ends up on top. And to me, it makes no sense. Why do people always choose to see really bad movies and end up regretting it when they realize they could go see a good one? Why do more people think Hangover will be much better than Kung Fu Panda 2? Why is Princess the Frog ignored in favor of Alvin the Chipmunks 2? Why does friggin' Twilight attract more people than the Muppets? Oh, screw it. I'm showing that part of that speech I was talking about earlier.
Ladies, gentlemen, I think the confusion here is that you are all very ignorant. Is that right word, ignorant? I mean stupid, primitive, unenlightened. You do not understand science, so you are afraid of it. Like a dog is afraid of thunder or balloons. To you, science is magic and witchcraft because you have such small minds.
Okay, maybe that's being a bit too harsh, but the point is that if you really think that it's a good idea to see a really bad movie over one that's really good, then you really need to think your priorities. I want to respect the opinions of other people and all, but at the same time, I ask you to at least think before you watch these movies. Those movies such as Frankenweenie will not get the love they deserve, while movies like Taken 2 get far more attention than they deserve. Other than that, I really don't have much to say on the matter. Overall, Frankenweenie is an underrated film that I highly recommend that you see.
Cool. Victor! Let's go! Hang on!
Mr. Whiskers is trying to tell us something.
Did you get that out of the litter box? Oh my.
I need your help.
I asked him first!
My problem bigger.
Yeah, he's right.